Coming live from the Tivoli Met Radio studio here on Auraria campus, this is All Sports with Gerardo. Thank you for listening to All Sports through Met Radio on mymetmedia.com, live every Thursday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. This is your host Gerardo, and all I talk is sports. On the show today, I am going to talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, NHL hockey, college football, college basketball, soccer, and boxing. Before I start the show, I hope you all had a great week. To start off with Major League Baseball, here are the 2019 Comeback Player of the Year winners. Carlos Carrasco won American League Comeback Player of the Year. Josh Donaldson won National League Comeback Player of the Year. The Rockies have tendered contract offers to all 6 of their arbitration-eligible players, which is a 1-year contract, and this includes outfielder David Dahl, pitcher Carlos Estevez, starting pitcher Kyle Freeland, starting pitcher John Gray, shortstop Trevor Story, and catcher Tony Walters. Garrett Cole and the Yankees have agreed to a 9-year contract. Steven Strasburg and the Nationals have agreed to a 7-year contract. Anthony Rendon and the Angels have agreed to a 7-year contract. Brett Gardner and the Yankees have agreed to a 1-year contract. Didi Gregorius and the Phillies have agreed to a 1-year contract. Howie Kendrick and the Nationals have agreed to a 1-year contract. Scott Oberg and the Rockies have agreed to a 3-year contract extension. Jordan Lyles and the Rangers have agreed to a 2-year contract. Pitcher Junior Gurria and the Diamondbacks have agreed to a 1-year contract. Jose Prezza and the Red Sox have agreed to a 1-year contract. Rick Porcello and the Mets have agreed to a 1-year contract. The Padres traded outfielder Hunter Renfroe and Xavier Edwards to the Rays in exchange for outfielder Tommy Plune. The Rockies re-signed catcher Drew Butera to a minor league contract. The Rockies claimed pitcher Tyler Kenley off waivers from the Marlins. The Major League Baseball winter meetings was this week down in San Diego. The Major League Baseball winter meeting headlines was Garrett Cole, Steven Strasburg, and Anthony Rendon. Up until now, everything that I listed throughout my segment of Major League Baseball, those are all the free agents and all the contracts that were signed prior to or during the Major League Baseball winter meetings, and that's everything that has happened up until now. Also, this is the conclusion of the Major League Baseball winter meetings down in San Diego. So the free agents that got signed before or during the Major League Baseball winter meetings, that was only the beginning of Major League Baseball free agency. Now that the Major League Baseball winter meetings have come to an end, this is the beginning of Major League Baseball free agency. And now, going into this winter, we're going to have to wait and see where the remaining free agents sign and what new team they will be a part of in 2020. There's definitely some big names still on that free agent market now that we're going into the winter. And in the next few months, and even in the next few weeks, we're going to have to wait and see where those free agents sign and what team they sign a contract with. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what free agents sign with what teams this winter. But definitely, the headline of the Major League Baseball winter meetings was the contract that Garrett Cole, Steven Strasburg, and Anthony Rendon got. Now, with all the other remaining free agents, especially the pitchers, we're going to have to wait and see what new team they sign with. and what type of contract they're going to get after the type of contract that Garrett Cole and Steven Strasburg got. And with the type of contract that Anthony Rendon got from the Angels, we're going to have to wait and see what type of contract all the hitters get after the type of contract that Anthony Rendon got from the Angels. The Yankees, Angels, Nationals, and Phillies were the most active teams at the Major League Baseball winter meetings. So the Major League Baseball winter meetings, it's only the beginning of Major League Baseball free agency. So currently, here are the remaining big name free agents available this year. This includes third baseman Josh Donaldson, starting pitcher Madison Bumgarner, starting pitcher Hyun-Jin Ryu, outfielder Marcell Ozuna, outfielder Nicholas Castellanos, starting pitcher Dallas Keuchel, and outfielder Yasiel Puig. Also throughout free agency, we could see possible trades that could happen. Some trades that could possibly happen is starting pitcher Corey Kluber from the Indians. He could possibly be traded from the Indians. Infielder Francisco Lindor from the Indians. He could possibly be traded from the Indians. Infielder Chris Bryant from the Cubs. He could possibly be traded from the Cubs. And infielder Nolan Arenado from the Rockies. There is a possibility that Nolan Arenado could be traded from the Rockies. Now we're going to have to wait and see what trades happen and if any trades happen during free agency. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see where the free agents sign this winter during Major League Baseball free agency. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the NFL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to NFL football. Matt Ryan is the second fastest player to reach 50,000 career passing touchdowns. Eli Manning moved into 7 all-time passing touchdowns. Lamar Jackson is the first player in NFL history with 3,000 plus passing yards and 1,500 plus rushing yards in his first 2 seasons. Lamar Jackson is the second quarterback to rush for 1,000 yards in a single season. This season, Lamar Jackson has 4 games with 100 plus rushing yards, which is an NFL record for a quarterback in a single season. Lamar Jackson is the youngest player in NFL history with multiple games of 5 plus passing touchdowns. This season, Lamar Jackson has 35 offensive touchdowns, which leads the NFL. Lamar Jackson is the NFL touchdown leader. The Ravens are on a 9-game winning streak. He has beat some of the best defenses in the NFL. He has beat Tom Brady and the Patriots, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, and Deshaun Watson and the Texans. He is on pace to break Michael Vick's rushing yards record. The Ravens lead the AFC North. The Ravens are number 1 in the AFC, and the Ravens are favored to now win Super Bowl 54. Lamar Jackson is now the NFL MVP frontrunner. At 22 years old, Lamar Jackson would become the youngest quarterback in NFL history to win NFL MVP. So looking at Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, there's a reason why they're now the best team in the AFC. And with the type of season that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have been having so far this season, that is one of the reasons as to why they are now the favorite to come out of the AFC and to possibly win Super Bowl 54. What Lamar Jackson and the Ravens can do, especially on offense, is amazing. But don't count out the Ravens' defense. Their defense also plays some great football, just like Lamar Jackson and the Ravens' offense plays great football. With the type of season that Lamar Jackson is having, there's no doubt he will be NFL MVP. We're going to have to wait and see how far the Ravens advance in the playoffs, if they could reach Super Bowl 54, and if they could possibly win Super Bowl 54. But I definitely see Lamar Jackson winning NFL MVP with the type of season Lamar Jackson has had for the Ravens. Now, if you take a look at Lamar Jackson, what can he not do? He can throw the football. He can run with the football. He can make plays. He can score points, touchdowns. There's really nothing that Lamar Jackson cannot do. That's why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this season, and that's why the Ravens are one of the best teams in the AFC and in the NFL this season. If you haven't watched Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, even if you are or you're not a Ravens fan, I highly recommend that you watch a Ravens game to see what Lamar Jackson can do at the quarterback position. Not too many other quarterbacks in the NFL from now in the past can do what Lamar Jackson does. Even if you're not a Ravens fan, you definitely got to watch a Ravens game. And if you don't see what Lamar Jackson does on a weekly basis, you are definitely missing out. But there's no doubt that Lamar Jackson has been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this season. And we're going to have to wait and see how Lamar Jackson and the Ravens play for the rest of the season, going into the playoffs, and if they could possibly reach and win Super Bowl 54. There's no doubt that the type of season that Lamar Jackson has been having, that he will be NFL MVP. We're going to have to wait and see if the Ravens reach and possibly win Super Bowl 54. But there's also no doubt that Lamar Jackson has been having an historic season for the Ravens and in the NFL. And Lamar Jackson will keep adding to his resume and to the historic season he's been having this season with the Ravens. This season, Odell Beckham Jr. has had career lows in yards, receptions, and touchdowns with the Browns. This season, Odell Beckham Jr. has 2 receiving touchdowns, which ranks 94th in the NFL. He has had 6 straight games without 100 yards. He ranks 28 in receptions, 23rd in receiving yards, 39th in receptions per game, and 29th in receiving yards per game. So there's no doubt that the type of season that Odell Beckham Jr. has been having with the Browns has definitely been a disappointing season for Odell Beckham Jr. With everything that Odell Beckham Jr. is capable of and what he has shown that he is capable of when he played for the Giants, there's no reason as to why Odell Beckham Jr. has been having the type of season that he's been having with the Browns. Also, the Browns have been a disappointment this season, just like Odell Beckham Jr. Everyone thought that the Browns would have a better season. Now that Baker Mayfield has Odell Beckham Jr. as a wide receiver. But if you look at the Browns, it looks like Baker Mayfield and that Browns offense has not taken advantage of Odell Beckham Jr. and what he is capable of. Even though it has been a disappointing season for Odell Beckham Jr. and the Browns, Odell Beckham Jr. is trying to keep his hopes up high, and he definitely wants to have high hopes for the rest of the season. And there's no doubt that the Browns have been disappointing to their fans and to the rest of the NFL for the type of season they've been having. The Browns were favored to win the AFC North and possibly be a playoff team that had the potential of reaching the AFC Championship game with the roster that they have, especially on offense this season. Now we're going to have to wait and see what the Browns do this offseason. Are they going to keep Odell Beckham Jr. or are they going to trade Odell Beckham Jr.? We're going to have to wait and see. It's unknown. But it's looking like Odell Beckham Jr. wants to remain with the Browns. But according to multiple sources, it's also been stated that Odell Beckham Jr. wants to be traded from the Browns this offseason. And we're going to have to wait and see what the Browns do this offseason. Brett Favre, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Drew Brees had the most seasons with at least 3,000 passing yards in NFL history. Adrian Peterson became the sixth player to rush for 14,000 plus career rushing yards. Christian McCaffrey has the most career receiving yards by running back in his first 3 seasons. Daniel Hunter is the youngest player in NFL history to reach 50 career sacks. Julio Jones has 6 straight seasons with 1,000 receiving yards, which ties Mike Evans with the longest active streak in the NFL. Josh Jacobs is the first Raiders rookie to rush for 1,000 yards. This is the first time in the Tom Brady era that the Patriots have lost to 3 quarterbacks under the age of 25 in the same season. Patrick Mahomes is the first quarterback under 25 years old to win a regular season road game in New England since 2000. Linebacker Shaq Thompson and the Panthers have agreed to a 4-year contract extension. Colts kicker Adam Vinatieri will undergo season-ending knee surgery and he will be placed on injured reserve for the rest of the season. Kareem Jackson was named AFC Defensive Player of the Week after the game he had against his former team. Kareem Jackson definitely had a great game during the Broncos-Texans game last Sunday, especially against his former team. So congrats to Kareem Jackson on being named AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Noah Fant is the 6th rookie tight end in NFL history to have multiple 100-yard games. The Broncos is the first team in NFL history to have 2 different quarterbacks start and win their NFL debuts in the same season, which was Brandon Allen and Drew Lock. Drew Lock is the first rookie in NFL history to throw for 300 passing yards and 3 touchdowns in his first career NFL road game. Drew Lock is the first Broncos rookie quarterback to win his first 2 games since John Elway. The Broncos beat the Texans 38-24 on Sunday, December 8th. Now looking at the Broncos-Texans game, the Broncos definitely showed up down in Houston. They played great on offense and defense, but the highlight of this Broncos-Texans game was the Broncos offense, especially Drew Lock. This season was the first time the Broncos scored more than 26 points. And the last time the Broncos have scored as many points as they did, like they did against the Texans, it's been a while. And you'd have to go to last season since the last time the Broncos scored more than 26 points in a game. But the Broncos definitely showed up. They played great, especially Drew Lock. He was the highlight of the game. He had over 300 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Drew Lock definitely had a great game against the Texans. And after looking at this Broncos-Texans game, I know Drew Lock has only played 2 games for the Broncos, but it's looking like Drew Lock could possibly be the franchise quarterback and the quarterback of the future for the Broncos going into the future. Now we're going to have to wait and see how Drew Lock plays for the rest of the season against the Chiefs, Lions, and Raiders. It's still too early to call him the franchise quarterback of the future. But after these first two career starts and the type of game that Drew Lock had against the Texans, I could see Drew Lock being that franchise quarterback going into the future. The Broncos offense definitely showed up. Drew Lock had a great game against the Texans. The Broncos running game showed up. Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman had a great game. They definitely were an impact to the Broncos offense. Courtland Sutton showed up. He had a great game. Noah Fant especially had a great game. He's looking like he's going to be a great tight end for the Broncos going into the future. He's only a rookie this season, and he has definitely impacted the Broncos offense in the last few games, especially during this Broncos-Texans game. So I'm definitely looking forward to what Noah Fant can do at the tight end position for the Broncos going into the future. Kareem Jackson had a big game against his former team. He definitely played great on defense. He had that interception that he ran all the way back for a touchdown. Congrats to Kareem Jackson on being named AFC Defensive Player of the Week after the type of game he had against the Texans. Alexander Johnson definitely had a great game against the Texans, just like he's had a great game against all the other opponents throughout the season. So both the Broncos offense and defense showed up during this Texans game. And the Broncos definitely surprised the Texans and the rest of the NFL after the Broncos were able to beat the Texans 38-24. Now looking at the Texans, they didn't play great on offense. And the Texans started playing like the way they do on offense more in the second half of the game. That's when Deshaun Watson showed up and he started scoring touchdowns. He had passes to DeAndre Hopkins, Darren Fells throughout the game, especially in the second half. So the Texans really didn't show up in the first half on offense, and they started playing better in the second half of the game, but it just wasn't enough after the Broncos were able to score 38 points and light up the scoreboard and surprise the Texans. Now the Broncos took advantage of the Texans secondary, especially Drew Lock. The Broncos offense was able to destroy the Texans secondary, since the Texans have one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. And Drew Lock and that Broncos offense definitely took advantage of that. Drew Lock had those long passes and those wide open passes to get those touchdowns. So this Broncos-Texans game was definitely a great game. Drew Lock was the highlight of the game. The Broncos definitely surprised the Texans down in Houston and the rest of the NFL after the way they played on offense and how they were able to score 38 points, and they were able to beat the Texans down in Houston after the Texans were able to take down the Patriots the previous week. And the Texans have one of the best offenses in the NFL, and the Texans are fighting for a playoff spot in the AFC, and they're fighting to win the AFC South. The Broncos go against the Chiefs on Sunday, December 15th. Now looking at this Broncos-Chiefs game, back in October when the Chiefs came to Denver, they blew out the Broncos. Even though this game's going to be in Kansas City, it's definitely going to be a different game. Back in October, Joe Flacco was the quarterback, but now Drew Lock is the quarterback. And if the Broncos can play the way they did against the Texans, the Broncos may have a chance at beating the Chiefs in Kansas City. And just like I said, if the Broncos had any type of lead and they were able to score over 20 points against the Texans, they would have a chance at beating the Texans. And if the Broncos can have the same formula like they did against the Texans, the Broncos can have a chance at beating the Chiefs. Now we're going to have to wait and see what type of game the Broncos have against the Chiefs, and if they show up on offense and defense, and if they can play the way they did against the Texans, or even play half of the way they did against the Texans. But if the Broncos want to have a chance at beating the Chiefs in Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium, and believe me, Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City is one of the hardest places in the NFL to try to win a game. So if the Broncos want to have a chance at beating the Chiefs, they're going to have to score more than 20 points, hold on to any lead that they have if they want to beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. But also, the Broncos are going to have to show up on offense and defense, just like they did against the Texans on the road, and they will have to do the same thing on the road in Kansas City. So we're going to have to wait and see what type of game Drew Lock will have against the Chiefs. This will definitely be a homecoming for Drew Lock since he is from Missouri. He also rooted for the Chiefs and was a fan of the Chiefs growing up. So we're going to have to wait and see what type of game Drew Lock plays against the Chiefs. But with the way Drew Lock played against the Texans and against the Chargers, I would expect a pretty good game from Drew Lock. Also, the Broncos running game is going to have to show up. Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman is definitely going to have to be a big impact on the Broncos offense. We're going to need Cortland Sutton and Noah Fant to show up. The whole entire Broncos offense is going to have to show up and score points if they want to win this game against their divisional rival. The Broncos offense is going to have to score touchdowns and more than 20 points if they want to win this game against the Chiefs. The Broncos defense is going to have to show up and play some great defense against Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense. We all know what Patrick Mahomes can do, so don't underestimate Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense. Even though Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense hasn't been playing the way they did last season. Also, the Broncos are going to have to stop Travis Kelce from having a big game against the Broncos like he usually does. They're going to have to stop Tyreek Hill from having a big game. In every Broncos-Chiefs game, whether it's here in Denver or in Kansas City, Tyreek Hill is definitely one of the big impacts on the Chiefs offense, and he always destroys the Broncos, whether it's returning punts, kicks, or at the wide receiver position. So they're definitely going to have to contain Tyreek Hill from having a big game against the Broncos. If Tyreek Hill has a big game against the Broncos like he usually does, then the Broncos will not have a chance at winning this game. The Broncos are going to have to stop Sammy Watkins from having a big game. So basically, the Broncos are going to have to stop the passing game and the running game, but they really got to stop that Chiefs offense from scoring a lot of points. If they can't stop Patrick Mahomes, this game's over. If they can't contain Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill from having a big game, this game will be over. If the Broncos cannot stop LaShawn McCoy in that running game, they're not going to have a chance at winning this game. So we're going to have to wait and see what team shows up in Kansas City and plays better football, but this will definitely be a great game. It's a divisional game against two divisional rivals in the AFC West. This is the 15th week of regular season football. The Chiefs won the AFC West. The Ravens clinched a playoff berth in the AFC. So right now I'm going to update you with the Week 14 final scores, and I'm also going to tell you the Week 15 schedule and the games to keep an eye on this week in football. So looking at Week 14, here are the final scores and highlights from this week of NFL football. The Bears beat the Cowboys 31-24 on Thursday Night Football. The Falcons beat the Panthers 40-20. The Buccaneers beat the Colts 38-35. The Jets beat the Dolphins 22-21. The 49ers beat the Saints 48-46. The Broncos beat the Texans 38-24. The Ravens beat the Bills 24-17. The Titans beat the Raiders 42-21. The Chiefs beat the Patriots 23-16. The Rams beat the Seahawks 28-12 on Sunday Night Football, and the Eagles beat the Giants 23-17 on Monday Night Football. Here are the Week 15 matchups to keep an eye on this week in NFL football. The Jets versus the Ravens on Thursday Night Football. The Texans versus the Titans. The Broncos versus the Chiefs. The Eagles versus the Redskins. The Bears versus the Packers. The Vikings versus the Chargers. The Rams versus the Cowboys, the Bills versus the Steelers on Sunday Night Football, and the Colts versus the Saints on Monday Night Football. So that's the Week 14 final scores and the Week 15 schedule for the NFL. Right now I'm going to update you with the current division standings in the AFC and NFC. To start off in the AFC East, right now the Patriots are leading this division at 10 games, but right behind them is the Bills at 9 games. The Ravens won the AFC North. In the AFC South, right now, the Texans and the Titans are tied for this division at 8 games. The Chiefs won the AFC West. In the NFC East, right now, the Cowboys and the Eagles are tied for this division. In the NFC North, right now the Packers are leading this division at 10 games, but right behind them is the Vikings at 9 games. The Saints won the NFC South. In the NFC West, right now the 49ers are leading this division at 11 games, but right behind them is the Seahawks at 10 games. So that's the current division standings in the AFC and NFC. So right now I'm going to update you with the current playoff picture in the AFC and NFC. To start off in the AFC, right now the Ravens are in the first seed and they have won 11 games. Right now the Patriots are in the second seed and they have won 10 games. Right now the Chiefs are in the third seed. They have won 9 games. Right now, the Texans are in the 4th seed. They have won 8 games. Right now, the Bills are in the 5th seed. They have won 9 games. And right now, the Steelers are in the 6th seed. They have won 8 games. In the hunt in the AFC, the Titans, Browns, Raiders, Colts, and Broncos. In the NFC, right now, the 49ers are in the 1st seed. And they have won 11 games. Right now, the Packers are in the 2nd seed. They have won 10 games. Right now, the Saints are in the 3rd seed. They have won 10 games. Right now, the Cowboys are in the 4th seed. They have won 6 games. Right now, the Seahawks are in the 5th seed. They have won 10 games. And right now, the Vikings are in the 6th seed. They have won 9 games. In the hunt in the NFC, the Rams, Bears, and Eagles. So that's the current playoff picture in the AFC and NFC. In the Week 15 NFL Power Rankings, the current top 10 NFL football teams are the Ravens, 49ers, Saints, Chiefs, Patriots, Seahawks, Packers, Vikings, Rams, and Bills. Right now, I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the NBA and NHL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to NBA basketball. Vince Carter moved into 5th in all-time games played. Russell Westbrook moved into 18 in all-time assists. Carmelo Anthony moved into 20th in all-time free throws made. Carmelo Anthony's contract with the Trail Blazers will become fully guaranteed for the rest of the season. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the only player in NBA history to reach 9,000 plus points, 4,000 plus rebounds, and 2,000 plus assists before turning 25 years old. The Knicks fired head coach David Fizdale. So right now I'm going to update you with the current schedule for the Nuggets. I'm going to tell you every team the Nuggets went up against this past week and the final scores of those games. And I'm also going to tell you what teams the Nuggets go up against in the next week. So to start off, this past week, the Nuggets went against the Knicks, and the Nuggets blew out the Knicks 129-92. The Nuggets went against the Celtics, and the Nuggets lost to the Celtics 108-95. The Nuggets went against the Nets, and the Nuggets lost a close game to the Nets, 105-102. And the Nuggets went against the 76ers, and the Nuggets lost another close game to the 76ers, 97-92. This week, the Nuggets go against the Trail Blazers, the Thunder, the Knicks, again here in Denver, and the Magic. So that's the current schedule for the Nuggets. For the teams the Nuggets went up against this past week and the final scores of those games, and also who the Nuggets go against in the next week. In the Week 8 NBA Power Rankings, the current top 10 NBA basketball teams are the Bucks, Lakers, Celtics, Clippers, Mavericks, Heat, Raptors, Nuggets, Rockets, and 76ers. Moving on now to NHL hockey. Right now I'm going to update you with the current schedule for the Avalanche. I'm going to tell you every team the Avalanche went up against this past week and the final scores of those games, and also who the Avalanche go up against in the next week. So to start off, last week the Avalanche went against the Canadiens, and the Avalanche won a close game against the Canadiens 3-2. The Avalanche went against the Bruins, and the Avalanche beat the Bruins 4-1. The Avalanche went against the Flames, and the Avalanche lost a close game against the Flames in overtime 5-4. And the Avalanche went against the Flyers, and the Avalanche beat the Flyers 3-1. This week, the Avalanche go against the Devils, the Blues, and the Blackhawks. So that's the current schedule for the Avalanche. For the teams the Avalanche went up against this past week and the final scores of those games, and also who the Avalanche go up against in the next week. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about college football, college basketball, soccer, and boxing. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to college football. The 2019 Heisman Trophy finalists includes Joe Burrow from LSU, Jalen Hurts from Oklahoma, Justin Fields from Ohio State, and Chase Young from Ohio State. Joe Burrow is the AP Player of the Year. Joe Burrow is the first LSU player to win the award. Jalen Hurts is the first quarterback to start for multiple teams in the college football playoff. Since the college football playoff was created in 2014, this is the first time Alabama isn't in the college football playoff. The top 25 college football teams are number 1 LSU, number 2 Ohio State, number 3 Clemson, number 4 Oklahoma, number 5 Georgia, number 6 Oregon, number 7 Baylor, number 8 Wisconsin, number 9 Florida, number 10 Penn State, number 11 Utah, number 12 Auburn, number 13 Alabama, number 14 Michigan, number 15 Notre Dame, number 16 Iowa, number 17 Memphis, number 18 Minnesota, number 19 Boise State, number 20 Appalachian State, number 21 Cincinnati, number 22 Southern California, number 23 Navy, number 24 Virginia, and number 25 Oklahoma State. This is a 16-week of college football. So right now I'm going to update you with the Week 15 college football final scores. I'm also going to tell you the Week 16 college football schedule and the games to keep an eye on this week in college football. To start off with Week 15, here are the final scores and highlights from this week of college football. Number 6 Oregon beat number 11 Utah 37-15. Number 4 Oklahoma beat number 7 Baylor 30-23 in overtime. Number 20 Appalachian State beat LA Lafayette 45-38. Number 17 Memphis beat number 21 Cincinnati 29-24. Number 1 LSU beat number 5 Georgia 37-10. Number 19 Boise State beat Hawaii 31-10. Number 3 Clemson beat number 24 Virginia 62-17. And number 2 Ohio State beat number 8 Wisconsin 34-21. Now looking at Week 16, here are the matchups to keep an eye on this week in college football. Army versus number 23 Navy. So that's the Week 14 final scores in the Week 15 schedule for college football. In the Week 14 college football AP Top 10 poll, the current top 10 college football teams are LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, Utah, Oklahoma, Florida, Minnesota, and Michigan. Moving on now to college basketball. This season, Kentucky versus Evansville, Duke versus Stephen F. Austin, and Louisville versus Texas Tech was the first time that the AP number 1 team in college basketball has lost 3 times versus an unranked non-conference opponent at home in the same season. AP number 1 teams are 6-4 this season, which is the worst winning percentage by number 1 teams in a season in the AP poll era since 1948-49. With number 1 Duke losing at home to unranked Stephen F. Austin, it ended the longest active non-conference home winning streak in Division I college basketball. Duke's last non-conference home loss was on February 26, 2000 versus St. John's. In the college basketball AP Top 10 poll, the current top 10 college basketball teams are Louisville, Kansas, Ohio State, Maryland, Michigan, Gonzaga, Duke, Kentucky, Virginia, and Oregon. Moving on now to soccer. In 700 career games for Barcelona, Lionel Messi has 613 career goals, 250 assists, and 34 trophies. Lionel Messi won his 6th Ballon d'Or. Lionel Messi won the Ballon d'Or in 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2015, and 2019. Moving on now to boxing. Floyd Mayweather announced he is coming out of retirement in 2020. Right now, I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the end of the show. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to the show, what to watch for this weekend sports. The Broncos go against the Chiefs on Sunday, December 15th. The Broncos, the 15th week of NFL regular season football. NFL football, the 16th week of college football, college basketball, the Nuggets, NBA basketball, the Avalanche, NHL hockey. Moving on now, on the next show, I will talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, NHL hockey, college football, and college basketball. I hope you all have a great weekend. Tune in to the next All Sports with Gerardo show next Thursday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. I want to say thank you to everybody that listens to All Sports through Met Radio here on mymetmedia.com. Subscribe or like my pages on social media at All Sports with Gerardo. Until next time, this is Gerardo.